Previously on Grover's Mill.
It was so dark, my heart was thumping so fast. I pulled over into the orchards and I ran into the woods. I've never been so fucking scared.
No, listen to me. I used to be a believer, like everyone. And I used to think the cranks were crazy. But when the facts come and slap you in the face, you have no choice but to accept that sadly, this was one huge lie.
Hey, don't look round. But I think those Men in Black type guys are here. Behind you.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What should we do?
Yeah, but you see, you are in it now. We need you. We need you to help us to get this out in a way that people will believe.
Okay, all flight controllers, gonna go for landing. Retro. Go. Rhino. Go. Guidance. Go. Control. Go. Telcom. Go. GNC. Go. Econ. Go. Surgeon. Go. Capcom, we're go for landing.
Okay, engine stop. We copy it down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
So, we've come to the 7th episode in the series. And who would have guessed we'd end up in Russia with Edward Snowden and Julian Assange? But it's been one hell of a ride, and I don't regret a thing. What's been really pleasing is the response the podcast has been generating. We've had countless calls and emails from people all over the world, some of them good and some of them not so good. For example, a lot of people have been saying that we made it up, that none of it's real. Some people don't want it to be real, of course, and some people think we've had this planned for years and that we placed Rodney in Grover's Mill on purpose. For the last few weeks, we've also been dealing with rumours about Brian and Rodney. A lot of people think that they're part of some elaborate scheme. One person writes, "We know that Brian and Rodney are actors who are sympathetic to the conspiracy movement. We know you are being funded by wealthy individuals that also support this cause. You talk about the truth, but do nothing to promote it." Okay, and another leaves us a voice message.
We can see through all this bullshit. I saw through it in the first episode. We can see what you're doing, but you're destroying our society with this nonsense. So just stop trying to convince us that humans are lizards, okay? It's ridiculous. I know where you live.
Well, I think he had the wrong number. We've also had countless messages of support and people wanting us to keep revealing the truth, which we will. The thing is, this idea of proof, everyone on both sides think they have it, right? But what is it? What is real proof? You know, I've been thinking that this is perhaps just too big a truth to reveal, that even if it is 100% true, it's still too big, so why bother? But then Rodney and Brian remind me that it's our duty to at least try. So that's what we're doing, trying. As part of that idea, I wanted to see how the truth can get twisted and how people convince themselves to believe one thing or another. You're about to hear from Dr. Burkhoff-Venerton again, the well-respected psychologist who studied in the Mammalian School of Cross-Functional AA. Oh, and don't worry, we'll get to Russia and Assange and Snowden as soon as we've listened to what Burkhoff has to say. This is him talking about his ideas.
So, last time we started talking about the truth. I'd like to expand on that if we can.
Yes, indeed. I've come to believe that the truth is like a cat, or cats.
Like a cat?
Yes, Milky.
It's Wilkie.
So, Milky, the more you look at a cat, the more it looks at you, correct? The more you let it look at you, the more you become the cat. And the more the cat becomes human, so much so we don't know who's the cat and who's the human.
Right.
The truth sits on either side, but it cannot exist without the cat. You see, it's like opera.
Opera? How so?
Opera's music, correct?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's your answer.
I'm confused.
The truth is confusing.
What, so people will believe any lie, or they'll make a lie the truth?
That's right. And that's wrong, like a truth, or a lie.
Eh? What, so when it comes to something as big as landing on the moon, for example, many people listening to this would absolutely no question say it was real, that it happened, that we're crazy for thinking it didn't. Well, then there's the other camp that says it was faked and have evidence to suggest it was, but then the criticism is everyone who thinks of a conspiracy can find anything that looks like a conspiracy. So the question is, how do we find the truth?
Well, context is everything. You know, if they tried to sell the same story today in the same way with the same amount of analysis at hand, I doubt you would get that polarity of opinion. Contextually, everything was more controlled and new then. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Television was hyper-controlled, not democratic, because it was totally new. Innovation was at an all-time low and kept to the realms of the government. So when all of that is controlled and you release a story in that way, you have no choice but to believe, because there is nowhere else to go or to look. At the time, that is. You know, Pilkey, I did a study in the Congo on a group of monkeys. We were looking to see if the concepts of truth and lies lived in the world of monkeys. So one day, we were observing them as they walked down to the river. A couple of the younger ones were bathing, and I remember Eli, the male, he was the male, Eli, walking down to one of the younger females, and he was beating in his chest, just beating it, and the female gets this look on her face, right, and then she lies down in the soissons-neuf position, and they both start going at it, hammer and tongs.
Oh, right.
It really was something. But as the other monkeys came to watch, they'd stop the sexual act until the others looked away, and then they both orgasmed at the same time. We'd never seen that before. I can still hear the howls to this day. Fascinating.
And what's that got to do with truth and lies?
Nothing really, it's just a good story. But I did notice Eli stealing some food from another monkey once and then pointing his finger at a buffalo, so who knows?
But what can your research tell us about what is true and what is not? I'm just trying to get a straight answer here.
Well, I'm afraid you're completely buggered there. The thing is, it's so distorted, so morphological, so manufactured today, both lies and the truth, that it's impossible to tell. You see, Tilke, people only believe what's in front of them. They can't invest in going back and discovering lies, you see, because that would mean nothing, in essence, could be true. So why bother? No, your project is an impossible one. The moon, how apt. In all probability, it probably is a lie. But then, is it? And what is the lie? That the actual thing never happened? Well, some would say it did, just not the way they wanted it to. You follow me?
I guess. What do you think about the moon landings, I mean?
I don't think it matters, does it? It's like trying to distinguish between consciousness and unconsciousness. We think we know the difference, but do we? What if this reality we're in is a hyper-reality, and therefore we're not in it? We are unconscious in it. You see, blinding contradictions, lies, corruption, and deceit have no effect on people, even when it's in front of them. You follow me? The only thing that matters these days is pure opinion. You're better off being a monkey. Seriously.
Right. So, do you think there could ever be a scenario where a certain small number of people could convince the world of something as significant as hoaxing the moon landings, for example?
There are cases in history, for sure. Etched into caves, for example.
Caves?
Caves, yes. I once did an experiment with a bunch of children in some caves.
Right.
The idea was we were going to find some cave paintings to see how children would interpret them from an unblemished and uncensorable mind, so to speak.
Okay.
But the real experiment was about how children would behave when frightened, and how different children perceive and handle fear when told one thing, but get presented with another. So a lie, or a truth. So we took these children into these caves, and after 10 minutes their torches all started to fade. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Now when the children were plunged into darkness, you'd probably expect screams and frenzy, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I'd assume so, yeah.
Well, very interestingly, what really happened was astounding. They all just quietly and delicately wet their pants. All we could hear was the trickle of pee crawling down their legs onto the cold stone floor of the cave. Have you ever heard the mutual wetting of 15 pairs of pants? It's creepy.
Isn't that irresponsible?
No, you don't understand. It does things to you. The dripping, the little feet shuffling. Those children got us. You see, they knew.
Right, but forgive me, what does that have to do with us trying to expose the truth about the moon landings?
It's all there, Wilkie. It's all in my book. You came, you saw, you do what you didn't see. You've just got to look for it.
Okay. So, what advice do you have for those who are trying to expose the truth?
Get out of the cave. Because if it's the actual truth, well, there is no witness protection program for moon landing deniers, is there? Let's just put it that way. Ironically, you're better off getting off this planet altogether. Toodle pip.
So, Russia. You're probably wondering how we ended up here. Well, Panama was an experience and a half. After we decided to get the information out in a credible way, we spoke with Julian Assange, and he told us the best thing to do was to go to Russia and get in touch with Edward Snowden.
The best thing to do is get in touch with Edward Snowden.
He said we can then set up a base camp there,
We can then set up a base camp there.
and that we would be safe from extradition.
You'll also be safe from extradition.
Hold on. Let's just pause here for a minute. Extradition. Things were now starting to get very, very serious.
Julian, you know we've gone from just trying to find a missing person to now talking about extradition all in the space of a few months. Look, I'm not sure if this is the best thing to be doing.
What is your life's purpose, Wilkie?
I'm not sure. To help people, I guess?
Right. And do you not think that this is helping people?
Well, yes, I guess so, but we've involved so many people, maybe we should just drop it all. I mean, we found Rodney now, so why don't we just head back to the States and call it a day?
Look, you can do what you like, but this is the point where a lot of people drop out and why the truth stays a lie. You know, I was constipated once, and if I just gave up and thought I'm just going to let it all back up and coagulate and sit there, then you know where I'd be now? Dead, probably. So no, I went out and I ate 22 prunes and I was fine. All I'm saying, eat some prunes, Wilkie.
All right. So we get to Russia, then what?
Then we make a plan. I'll meet you there. Well, not in person, obviously, but I'll send you the J-box.
The J-box?
It's a little encrypted box that means I'll be able to communicate with you and be with you every step of the way without actually physically being there.
What, like a conference phone?
Wilkie, how dare you? No, it's nothing like that. It's actually NASA technology, ironically. It means I'll be with you all the way. Now, get yourself, Brian and Rodney over to Russia and let's meet up in a week.
So, there's a high-profile lawyer who's worked on a number of international human rights cases. We're good friends, and I figured now was the time to run a few scenarios past him to see where we all stood. Obviously, we're getting in deep now, and before we head to Russia, I want to make sure we were all protected, or at least know the risks we were taking. I send him a brief overview of everything, and we jump on a call.
So, what do you think?
What do I think? Oh, Wilkie. Well, there are a number of things you have to consider here. The first being, can they classify this as a matter of national security, of national interest?
Well, I think it is, yeah.
Well, then that's not good for you. Because if they claim this is risky or damaging to the national interest, then they can make a case that you're an enemy of the state, including charges of communicating national defense information to an unauthorized source, or a more serious charge, aiding the enemy.
What?
Other charges could include violations of the Espionage Act, stealing U.S. government property, and charges under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, exactly like we saw with Chelsea Manning.
Whoa, hold on. What? Aiding the enemy? What enemy?
Well, the thing is, they don't have to be real, right? It could be aliens, for example.
But the government say aliens don't exist.
Sure, but if the possibility exists that they exist, and you're working with them, then they have a case. You see, Wilkie, it doesn't matter. They could argue that even if the moon landings were fake, that to broadcast that or reveal it would be exposing a state secret. Even though it's a cover-up, you're still exposing it, so technically they can put you in jail for exposing something that isn't real, but they said was real.
But that's crazy.
Sure, but the law doesn't have to make any sense, Wilkie. In fact, oftentimes it never does. The men and women that wrote it were more reasonable men and women than the ones that implement it today. I mean, do you know how many judges are on antidepressants? You would be shocked.
So, what advice can you give us?
Well, I wouldn't take on the world's biggest superpower, personally, but knowing what I know now, I think there might be a duty to somehow get this information out. It's an individual question. You need to find a way to do it without it looking like damage could occur to the state or its people.
Oh, God.
You might find some sympathizers in Russia to help you, but that will easily be dismissible as propaganda, but it is an option. The best bet is to try to work with the state, which sounds like an insane notion, or get as many people as you can working within it on this cover-up to come forward.
Yeah, okay, I get it, but that's not really an answer, is it?
Hey, I'm a lawyer, Wilkie. That's what we do.
Scary stuff, eh? I mean, I could go to prison. We could all be made to look like utter fools. Another headline, another enemy of the state. As I said before, we're getting emails every day, some saying how unbelievable this all is and that it's probably just all made up. And it hurts when I get those. I mean, look, sometimes I wish I could just go back to where I was before this all started. I really do. I didn't ask for this. My life is turning upside down. And some people think it's bullshit. I mean, for fuck's sake. So I sit down with Brian, Rodney and Elmire and we discuss it. Rodney and Brian want to go to Russia. It's like it's given them something new to focus on, somehow bringing them closer together. I figure I get enough flack as a forensic psychic anyway, so I might as well throw myself into the fire. Elmire says he'll stay in Panama, but he can organise a plane for us. So within 24 hours, we arrive in Moscow and get taken to room 237 of the Obodrevat Hotel, where we meet, and I kid you not, Edward Snowden and Julian Assange via his J-box, this weird-looking pink hexagon with blue flashing lights that you wear like a bum bag. Julian insists I take it with me wherever I go and never take it off. Edward has pulled open the blinds and is pensively gazing at the afternoon sky.
Clouds aren't clouds.
Huh?
Yeah, they're microphones.
Is this one of your in-jokes?
Brian, look, clouds are nano-microphone particles put together in a cluster.
What?
We've known this for years and years, okay? When it rains, they release even more nanoreceptors down onto your rooftops and your drains and your pipes. Yeah, so now we have conductors everywhere, in every home, every place, all over the world. I can patch in right now to the Amazon and let you know what one tribe member is saying to a python.
What the fuck?
I kid you not, Brian.
So they can hear us now?
Of course they can.
Shit, well, why are we talking?
Because even if we write stuff down, the sun's rays have now been converted into tiny micro cameras, so the only option is to sit in the dark.
Gentlemen, can you see that if you went out with this tomorrow, whatever it is, let alone the moon landing story, people would just laugh? Sun cameras, cloud microphones, moon hoax. I mean, come on, fellas.
But that's the moral imperative. It's too scary to believe. When you put what you just said in a context, right, in context of technological and scientific advancement, it's child's play, right? We can now show you time travel, yeah, proven. We can transport large volumes of info on a grain of rice. The list goes on. So to think that clouds are not microphones, that water is not a conductor of noise, and that the sun's rays can't take pictures it's selective acceptance and non-acceptance. In other words, I will accept that these things are true because they've been on the news, whatever that is. But when it comes to something that may threaten me in some way or elude that the government has secrets, then I accept not to believe it. See, that's the selective convenient thinking that humans build into themselves to protect themselves. It's illogical to accept that we can do one thing with technology but not another. So people at home may laugh at us saying clouds are microphones, but if they applied open thinking to it, then perhaps they take a different point of view. Don't forget, we all used to think the world was flat. Some still do, and that cigarettes were healthy and the food pyramid was the right way up. These were all heavily ingrained, agreed upon beliefs that if challenged in that time, would have been laughed at in some way. Humans are not good at accepting that we don't know everything and that people get things wrong all the time. The idea of neat perfection and no corruption lives. It's the biggest mistake we're making.
There's no Zika virus, for example.
Huh?
What? I'd believe that.
Just look it up. Look up the doctor that discovered swine flu, which doesn't really exist. It's a media concept. That doctor's in prison now.
Well, I think I got swine flu last winter. Anyway, we seem to have gone off topic slightly.
Not really. This is all part of the same argument. Truth, spin, lies.
Yeah, okay, everyone, look, can we just talk about the moon landings, please?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So, we have all this great validated information from several astronauts and a few NASA employees, plus we have Orson's meetings and interviews and his tapes.
All legit.
Right, so the question is, how do we release this in the most effective way possible?
Well, we have to gain maximum impact with maximum credibility. These documents need to be ratified and we need more people to come forward. We have to walk people through how it was faked because remember, this is a 50-year-old lie.
It has to be a simultaneous media event, I'd say, with credible journalists.
Well, Elmir's warehouse can be the place to walk us through how they did it.
We can use our WikiLeaks community to spread everything.
And what about government retaliation?
Well, we've got to do it from where you guys are, Russia. So we're safe. We need to get Putin involved.
Might as well get Oliver Stone as well.
Oh, bro, that's a great idea.
I was joking.
No, he can do the walkthrough documentary on how they set it all up. He and Putin are buddies now.
Yeah, has everyone listened to the tapes and read the papers?
Of course, and have you authenticated all of them?
Yes, they're all ratified.
And what about the astronaut stat decks?
Yeah. Only issue is we don't know who this Mitch Aposky is. There's no record of him, yet he claims he was part of the whole thing.
Is he still alive?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know if he even exists.
Can you hand me his letter?
Yeah, sure. It's, this one. No. Sorry.
No.
It's this one. Here you go.
Cheers. Interesting. Oh, boy, I'm getting something.
Like a vision?
No. a feeling.
Okay, so for everyone listening, at this point, I go into a fit and start to channel Mitch. I'll play the tape from when I come to, and Mitch is speaking through me.
Oh, well, took you guys long enough.
Is that you, Mitch?
Yep, Mitch Aboski, call sign Jetson.
Mitch, we're looking at how the moon landings were faked. Can you tell us anything about that?
I can.
Are you still alive somewhere?
No, I've passed over. They hid me out in that god-awful place for years. Made me change my name. Made me work in the post office. You know, looking at stamps of the moon and the other astronauts. That's what killed me. I'll lick the back of those assholes every day.
Mitch, we know it's dangerous, but we're just after the truth. Is there anything you can tell us?
A lot of things. But you know the one thing that no one ever talks about?
No, what?
That Bucky Neil. We used to call Neil Bucky. The Neil could talk to Nixon from the surface of the moon with no interruptions and no delay on a clear line. Do you know how many wave particles, vortexes, and radiation, let alone other unknown transmissions orbiting the Earth and Moon at any one time? It would be impossible for that call to have been made.
So you're saying that call was fake?
Listen, buddy, I was there. Neil and I were eating a Carl's Jr. burger in a shed in Lincoln County, Nevada. If you listen closely, you can hear him taking a bite about 3 seconds in.
Is there any way we can prove this, Mitch?
Well, apart from my word, no. But if you speak to the experts, they'll back it up. That call was made from down here, believe me. You should also get in touch with that photographer who took all the photos. You know, he wasn't in space, right? In fact, he wasn't even a photographer. He was a computer whiz. Came up with a retouching program way back then. Amazing stuff, really.
What happened to him? Can we track him down?
He's dead, too.
They killed him?
No, he overdosed on Viagra. It was the early years. He thought you needed to take a month's worth in advance. I remember now because at his funeral, they had to build a turret on the coffin. You know how embarrassing that is for a man. A turret. A turret.
Wilkie? Wilkie, is Mitch still there?
No, sorry, guys. He patched out.
Oh, Jesus, man. This just gets weirder.
I never thought about the phone call.
It does make sense, though. Think about it. The moon is 230,000 miles away. We can't even get lines that clear in 2018.
Exactly, so what do we do now?
Well, we party.
Party?
Wait for the beat drop! Wait for it! Fucking love it!
Yeah! Love it!
Come on!
I love it!
Look, in the booth, it's the FBI freaks.
Fuck, it is!
Is it them? Is it them? Fuck, I can't see, I wish I could. Damn, I love nightclubs.
It is them! 100%!
Go over and say hi.
I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Don't worry, it'll be fine. Just go and have a chat.
Because we're in a club, you can't hear much, so I'll explain what happened. So we walk over to Art and Alan and sit in their booth. It was hard to talk over the music, but Ed sat down next to them and chatted about something. Then Art and Alan get up and we follow them through the throng of sweaty bodies into a back room. That's where the audio becomes a little clearer. The room is simply lit with an amber glow and there are 2 red sofas and a couple of old beige armchairs. There's a small glass table in the middle of the room and a couple of old deck chairs in one corner. It smells of sticky, spilt whiskey and stale ashtrays.
She says, fancy seeing you here, Edward. Long time no see.
What are you guys doing here?
She's asking who the fuck is that, and what is that pink box?
It's Julian Assange. Long story.
Well, to answer your question, Julian, we're trying to keep you out of trouble, my dear. You know we can't have another leak from the leakers.
You do realize you have no power here? This is Russia?
Ah, she's saying you're right. But we traveled all this way and we did all this recon work for what, nothing?
Looks like it, Alan.
Well, heck. I guess that also means the presidential pardons we were gonna hand over to Mr. Assange and Mr. Snowden here, well, they go away too.
Oh, come on, as if you guys were gonna give them presidential pardons.
Well, you know.
What is it about us finding Rodney that the FBI is so interested in anyway?
I don't know. The whole moon landings were fake bit.
Yes. Oh, sake.
Have you seen the evidence?
Evidence. How hilarious. But not as hilarious as this pardon I have in my hands. Go on, take a look.
So Alan hands Snowden a folder with 2 documents that look official, but it's hard to tell.
Look, Eddie, even if this is real, I'm not stupid enough to go back to America.
Me neither.
You know, my grandfather used to say that there were 2 types of people. Time tellers and time wasters. Time tellers, well, they're just greasy little people trying to get their ass into the spotlight, letting their ego rule them, but playing like they don't have one. And the time wasters, well, you can tell those idiots from what they look like, from their flesh, from their eyes, because they keep rejecting logic right then and there. So you go on, Sonny, and stop wasting my time, because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit.
Shawshank, right?
You know, my grandfather had a story too.
Oh yeah? Mine too.
Did yours give you a hanky?
Uh-huh. 2, in fact.
You're listening to Edward Snowden putting 2 handkerchiefs up to the faces of Art and Alan. And those thumps are Art and Alan falling to the floor.
Fuck! What the fuck?
Shit, what do we do now?
Tie them up and interrogate them.
Are you serious?
Yeah, trust us.
By now, I'm standing in the corner in shock, watching Ed rummage around for something to tie up Art and Alan with. Eventually, they use a lamp cord. Then we all sit and wait for them to come round.
Edward, have you got Guantanamo for Dummies?
Yeah, right here.
What's that?
It's a torture guide.
We're not gonna torture them.
We're going to do whatever we need to do to get the truth.
Says here tickling is effective as a first line of attack.
Anyone got anything you can tickle them with?
You could use the lace off that lamp.
Great idea.
This is crazy.
Stop, please stop.
There's no need to do that. We'll tell you everything.
Take my nails out. Waterboard me, please. I want to be waterboarded.
Stop it, Alan. We can't play these weird games anymore. We need to tell them.
Tell us what? How come you can speak English now?
It could be a delayed reaction from the chloroform and the amnesia.
Ah, shit.
It's okay, Alan. We're screwed anyway.
How screwed?
We're in on all of it. We need to tell them. Guys, we know what you have, and we've been trying to help you.
What? Hold on. What? What are you talking about?
We needed to keep a cover, and we needed you to get to this point. We put ourselves up for the mission knowing that we would let you get this far and knowing that this information would get into the right hands.
So it was you guys helping?
Yeah.
We didn't start that way, but when we saw the evidence, we knew something was wrong. There had to be a huge cover-up,
and so we needed to pretend to hunt you guys down, but at the same time, we've been helping you, working with Captain Thunderbolt and the Russian.
What?
We know about everything, Rodney. The recordings, the documents, the declarations, even the porno.
What porno?
Oh, well, there was a space porno thing, but that's not important right now. We found a lot more evidence, and it convinced us that something was up.
More evidence?
Yes, but we couldn't just give it to you. We're monitored.
And we needed a cover so we could play like we're hunting you down to try to stop it, but you'd slip through, and then we'd feed you intel, and you could make sure the truth got out.
Yeah, all right, but how do we know that you aren't lying just to get out of this?
Look, there's a thing we need to do before we hand everything over, which should convince you, okay?
A thing? What's that? What thing?
We need to fake our own deaths.
You what?
We can't go back to the States, so you need to make sure our deaths look real.
We're not gonna kill you. Are you insane?
No. We have a mortician arriving about now.
A what?
A large man with a very thick neck wheels in 4 trolleys, with a body bag on each.
Hello, Imgor.
Only in Russia, eh?
I hear what you asked.
Okay, do they look like us?
You must speak closest.
Art and Alan open the first body bag. It's a gruesome sight.
No, she looks like someone that says everything happens for a reason. That's not me.
Yes. Type of person that goes to Bali and does juice fast to cure pain of inability to be emotionally available, but then tries to symbolize pain through turquoise jewelry and hugging fellow travelers at intense hot yoga.
Exactly what I was going to say.
What about this one?
He looks a little like me, I guess. Same height, I think, but that face, it's a face that says...
Pharmaceutical industry? Exactly.
You mean type of guy who says he saves lives and goes on TV wearing bow tie, but 5 minutes after interview hires bunch of Instagram thirst traps to come to hotel for Midori and lemonade. Like who the fuck drinks that shit anymore? Then he does lines of coke off their backs, but something switches in his head and he grabs signed baseball bat he got from opening fucking baseball game and beats shit out of stripper that looks like his mother.
I don't know. I mean, what?
I think you guys need to pick two and be done with it. This is really fucking creepy.
I'm gonna go with that guy.
And I'll go with her. Thanks. Okay, so we have us dead. I mean, not really us, but these. Okay, we need to put our DNA on them. Alan?
Will it work if we hug them?
Just hug tight, Alan. Maybe leave some saliva, okay?
One last thing. We kept the last recording for you.
The last recording?
Orson's final declaration. We found it on the dark web.
Where is it?
Here, in a thumb drive.
You're kidding!
No.
Check if you don't believe us.
We grab the USB stick, but there's no computer to play it on. Brian suggests we ask the DJ to play it through his laptop. We head back into the main club, and a few minutes later, playing throughout the entire Russian nightclub, we hear this.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen, out of character, to assure you that what you are listening to is very real, but what you are and what you believe is not. There's nothing real here, only controlled falsities. There are forces here on Earth that have destroyed what it is to be human. And there are those who are not human, who live amongst us in the universe that we need to make friends with. There are beautiful life forms near us. In fact, only 4 million miles away they do exist. They exist as much as clean energy has existed for hundreds of years. Powerful energy. Energy that can do so much good for the world. But of course, all of this is hidden because of money. So I ask you, do you want to keep being slaves to lies, or do you want to be free? In the end, you probably will never understand. I have seen it with my own eyes, looked into the future with the Martians, with all other life forms. The rest will play out according to the infrastructural script. But within that struggle, we find strength. We wake up, we stay up, our eyes stay open. We are hardly the first wolves in the wilderness. History is full of them. The world will not come to its senses until there is a global crisis. War, famine, or most likely a plague. An invasion from my dear friends on Mars, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Mercury. Real values will emerge again. That's when we'll get back to being human. So all our pests out there are going to wake people up, bring them back to humankind. We wait for that day of an alien invasion, for that's when we will truly see each other as the same. Until then, my hope is that we repeal our forms of government and we unlock the vault of truth and set it free. We have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. So let the aliens roam. Let us enjoy their technology, their jokes, their intergalactic theme parks. Let us travel with them and join them in their traditions. This can be the only reasonable future for a reasonable man. So goodbye, everybody, and remember the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch. And if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was most definitely one of my kind friends.
Okay, so we weren't meant to play that to a nightclub full of Russians.
No!
We were supposed to pursue you while you got the evidence organized and put together your case.
And in the meantime, you would have contacted every media outlet, social, web, and mainstream, encrypted the cables, and done the film
And it all
walkthrough.
comes out at once with credible sources and puts massive pressure on the government to finally admit it's made up the biggest lie since Santa Claus.
We can still do that. Let's just get it all out there. It's the 50th anniversary next July. We can sabotage the celebrations.
No, it's gonna get buried, but in October October, it'll be 80 years since the War of the Worlds, so it has to be this year.
Okay, I'm in.
The date's locked in.
Christ, you scared the shit out of me. I forgot you were still there.
I hope the world is ready, guys.
It doesn't have a choice. The truth waits for no one. But first, we need the big finale. Our corpses need to be found.
What? There has to be an alternative.
No, people need to witness it. Make it legitimate. It has to be us chasing you guys and almost killing you, but you kill us.
Really? Can't we just make something up?
It won't fly. We need witnesses. Legitimate or not, it has to look real.
I always wanted to go this way.
Oh, me too, totally.
Guys, come on. This is just crazy.
No, they're right. If we run out and it looks like they were trying to kill us, there are over 100 witnesses here. So here's what we'll do. You guys all run out the door. About 20 seconds later, we'll follow you into the lobby and we'll shoot at the ceiling.
You guys get out of the building and jump in a cab. We will give chase.
Hopefully you'll be gone by the time we get outside.
But what if this is a lie and you guys are tricking us?
Or we do it the other way around, right? You guys escape, we chase you and try and blow you up.
I like that better.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure you guys are used to handling firearms.
Look, we can make sure we miss.
No, I think we do it this way. Where are your guns?
Okay, fine. They're in our jackets.
What, we didn't check them?
I thought you did.
No, Wilkie?
No, why would I?
No, you're stupid. Here, take them.
Point at the ceiling, please, okay? Also, we need to grab the explosives.
Explosives? What?
Yeah, sure, we need the whole place to go down over there in that jacket.
My God, this is fucked up.
Okay, we're gonna run on 3, then give us 5 seconds, then come out shooting. Make it look real, okay? Whoa, hang on. On 3, or 3, and then go. Are you serious? Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. Fire!
Grover's Mill was written and produced by Matt Cohen-Gold and Rupert Degas. Our cast of characters was performed by Rupert Degas and Amy Horn. Music and sound design was by Matt Sladen. With special thanks to Megan Tate, Mark Gluhack, Barry Stewart, Marcus Beer, Stephen Busatil, Zan St. Pierre, and Anya Dolganova. This has been a Grover's Mill production, copyright 2018. Grover's Mill is a fictional podcast that is shared with you as a satire and parody. It depicts entirely fictitious situations that are products of the writer's imaginations. The podcast references familiar places and events, and whilst we have also used some real-life personalities, the characteristics, qualities, and actions that we've applied to those people are not intended to be real. We also do not suggest any association with or sponsorship by any person or entity. All other names, characters, and incidents portrayed in this production are fictitious. No identification with actual persons, living or deceased, places, buildings, and products is intended or should be inferred. For further information on Grover's Mill and its use in satire, parody, and fiction, please read the disclaimer on our website, groversmillpodcast.com.